was considered well by the Local Government Environment Select Committee, and I do commend it to the House.
Andrew Williams. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and can I just extend my greetings to all members of this House at the beginning of 2014, and also to all those out there that may be listening to this broadcast. It's great to start the parliamentary year at the end of January already with so much on the agenda. Mr. Speaker, this is a very interesting bill, the Subantarctic Marine Reserves Bill. I've had the great pleasure in the last couple of weeks to be down what you would say as close as you can possibly get on mainland New Zealand to this area, visiting Stewart Island and Fiordland and Queenstown. And going down there, and when you see what has been done in terms of the... No, I'm not going to stand in Southland, no. And going down there into your area, Mr. Speaker, into Eric Roy country, and seeing what has been done in the likes of Stewart Island with Ulva Island and the Marine Reserve there, and seeing what's been done in Fiordland in the World Heritage Status area in Fiordland, and throughout that whole area of Southland and Stewart Island, it does make you reflect on where New Zealand is in the world in terms of our nature and our flora and our fauna and the special place that we have within world global status. This Subantarctic Islands Marine Reserves Bill is an extra addition to that, in that they are some 860 kilometres southwest of the extent of this area of Stewart Island, and they are a special, again, a very special area of the greater part of the New Zealand Inc. that we have. We were very privileged as our select committee, the Local Government Environment Committee, last year to sit on the Exclusive Economic Zone Bill, which looked at that huge area of water around New Zealand. I'm told it's the 5th largest exclusive economic zone in the world. Others say it's the 4th, others say it's not. I'm told it's the 5th. The Minister confirms it's the 5th, which in terms of the size of our country really does show how important that exclusive economic zone is to our country. And therefore the Subantarctic Islands, as part of that, and these islands that are out there, the Bounty Islands, the Antipodes Islands and Campbell Island, a very important part of that outreach of the New Zealand landmass to show our presence in the South Pacific and into the sub-Antarctic Ocean. These islands were first discovered in the 1800s by Captain Henry Waterhouse on the British ship HMS Reliance. So this goes back a long way in New Zealand's history in terms of we're now talking several hundred years that these islands were discovered. It is most important that they are now given this level of protection, and important that these marine reserves are put through in terms of also supporting the World Heritage Site situation that they have been accredited. The islands are a very long way away, as I said, 860 kilometres southwest of Stewart Island. When you think about the distance that New Zealand has, it is very important in terms of our impact in this part of the world. And many people do around the world recognise the fact that while New Zealand is a very, very small landmass, we do have a great presence in this part of the Pacific Ocean, the Tasman Sea, and this part of the world. And we are the guardians. And it's interesting, coming to our Local Government Environment Committee, many submitters have said and reiterated the fact that this generation and every generation are the guardians of the environment. We are the guardians of what we're given, and we're very fortunate to live in a place like New Zealand where we are given this enormous, beautiful natural resource out there, and we are the guardians of that. All parties are supporting this bill. We support the National Government in terms of what they're bringing through in this bill. We think it is important to provide these additional safeguards. When I was on Stewart Island, I was told by some locals that the Minister is visiting these islands on a naval frigate, apparently in the near future, or something to that effect. Are you visiting that, the Honourable Nick Smith, in the near future? Is that the case or not? Can you confirm that? Maybe. And again, I think that's a good thing, to show that a minister is going down there to show interest in this particular area. I know that our Local Government and Environment Committee actually suggested that the whole committee should go to the Subantarctic Islands to personally check out these islands and make sure that they were legitimate, and that we should all go. But it was determined. No, it was. No, I'm sorry, Minister. No, we can't let you get away with that. But no, but our chairman said it wasn't appropriate for the whole select committee to go and visit these islands, even though we were receiving the submissions on this particular bill in relation to this important area off the southern coast of New Zealand. But it was very interesting, and I'd like to thank all those who submitted on this, and also the Department of Conservation with all their work that they're doing down there. I was greatly impressed with what the Department of Conservation are doing in the likes of Stewart Island and in Fiordland, and talking with many of the DOC rangers down there during my visit to both those areas, and seeing what DOC is doing. And this is another extension of that whole conservation area, which is most important. New Zealand First does continue to have concerns about the level of funding to the Department of Conservation. We have constantly said we feel that with the growing demands on the natural resources of New Zealand, we cannot be shortchanging our conservation measures, and certainly in this area there are concerns out there within DOC circles that they are having to tighten their belts all the time to provide for what is required. And when you look at the level of tourists, when you look at the level of New Zealand domestic visitors to many of these areas around New Zealand, there is huge pressure on our natural resources, on our national parks, and on our natural environment. And therefore, the more, I think, every New Zealander can say out of every taxpayer dollar that we can provide to support our natural environment, all the better. And we would commend to the Minister that, please, Minister, we cannot be shortchanging our Department of Conservation when it is so vital. And when you have to take into account that when I was tramping the Rootburn track last week, we were the only Kiwis in the Falls Hut at up on the Rootburn. Every other tramper was from overseas, from Europe, from Australia, from Asia and other places. And they recognise the fact that this is a very, very, very special part of the world that we have in all these areas, like Fiordland, like the Rootburn, like the Milford Track, like Stewart Island. And they come to New Zealand for a reason. And they come to New Zealand in many cases because we offer a special part of the world. We cannot cut back in terms of what resources we do provide to these areas, because it's most important for New Zealand to maintain its world, image in terms of the importance of New Zealand as a protector of nature and of a protector of the environment. Then we must ensure that those resources are provided and we don't cut back on them. Mr. Speaker, also in terms of marine reserves, this is another addition. We heard from Jackie Dean. There are now something like 34 A-class reserves around the country. I was in Akaroa Harbour in December for Dolphin Day in New Zealand with a lot of eminent scientists. Again, that was a recent, a new addition to another marine reserve, which the Minister approved last year. It's increasingly important that these marine reserves are recognised, the importance of them while in the greater scheme of things, it's a small percentage of the overall ocean, it's a small percentage of the overall area that New Zealand covers, but they individually add up and cumulatively add up to a significant factor in terms of protecting our marine life around our shores in very, very critical, important areas such as Akaroa Harbour. These latest ones in the Subantarctic Islands are yet another example of this. It stands New Zealand in great stead on the international global stage that we do this, and New Zealand First supports it in every way so that New Zealand can stand on the global stage and say we do support the environment.
Maggie Barry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to